11 weirdest human behaviors. Number 11, hugging. A large number of social norms have become so well established in our society that we don't even give it a second thought as to why we're even doing them. When broken down and analyzed, hugging is basically holding on to a person for an unestablished amount of time and no outcome for no reason whatsoever. However, hugging releases the hormone oxytocin, known for being associated with trust and attachment, that is able to establish and help create a bond between a partner and their significant other. Oxytocin can also be released through generous acts, petting an animal, or even meaningful eye contact. Number 10, risk-taking. Taking risks can turn out to have deadly consequences, as proven by the sheer number of fatal mountain climbing and skydiving accidents. Psychologists happen to believe that risk-taking originates from a need to impress possible mates. This occurs mostly in the male gender, who face more intrasexual competitiveness than women, and therefore they have to display their sexual fitness through dangerous acts. This is the explanation as to why males take more risks than usual when surrounded by their friends, whereas women tend to avoid this sort of risky behavior altogether. Number 9, laughing. When we find something mildly hilarious, we find ourselves bursting into fits of spastic yelling and trying to catch our breaths. Sounds strange, right? So why do we laugh? Psychologists believe that the purpose of this natural reaction is that it works as a cue to other people by dispersing positive feelings, lowering stress levels, and contributing to group solidarity. These all happen to be the same reasons as to why chimpanzees and orangutans smile and laugh when they socialize. Many types of researchers actually speculate that people's laughter evolved from panting. Number 8, crying. Crying is essentially feeling such an immense amount of sadness or happiness that your eyes begin to swell up and leak salty water. So what's the point of all that? Dutch psychologist Ad Vingerhoets theorizes that this is because crying has been a social sign that has evolved to show that an individual is in distress. Just like young animals, human babies produce audible cries that can be heard, unlike adult humans who can simply shed tears without making a sound. However, humans happen to be the only species on the planet that shed emotional tears that are known to contain a natural painkiller, which could somewhat explain why you feel cathartic after a good cry. Number 7, gossiping. Gossiping is considered one of those activities that you shouldn't partake in, yet it seems like everyone participates and even relishes the act of discussing the latest dirt. This is because we feel a strong desire to bond and make a connection with those around us. So strong, in fact, that it can cloud our judgments and moral sense of minding one's own business. Gossiping not only helps forge those bonds, but it also creates trust and a conversational topic, at the sake of talking behind a person's back. This isn't as bad as it sounds. Robin Dunbar, an anthropologist, states that language was born out of the need to gossip and speak about a person who is not currently present. It's believed that around 60% of adult conversations are about someone who's not currently there. So yes, chances are your friend does talk behind your back. Number 6, kissing. When you stop and process that kissing is nothing more than just swapping spit with someone, it's hard to think of that as a romantic gesture. Well, kissing happens to be a biological instinct. It's a way for people to evaluate each other as potential mates, as the close contact allows people to use their sense of smell and taste as a way of judgment. A person's saliva and breath carry chemical signals that show how healthy you are, or, if you're a female, if you happen to be ovulating. Did you know that the skin that's around your nose and mouth are covered with oils that have pheromones in them? This is the scent that is unique to each individual and helps determine if you will be more or less attracted to a person. Kissing is also seen as another bonding method for couples because of the oxytocin that is released into the brain. Number 5, aggression. Many people can become so enraged that they end up losing their temper. But did you ever wonder that maybe we don't have as much control as we think? There's a small almond-shaped mass that's located in each cerebral hemisphere in your brain called the amygdala. It's responsible for helping your body experience emotions and working alongside your prefrontal cortex that helps you decide whether or not to take action on impulses of rage. If severe damage occurs to the amygdala through extensive trauma or, say, a birth defect, this can cause an individual's impulses to be so overwhelming that they carry out those aggressive acts, even if they don't want to. Number 4. Awkward silences. Have you ever been in the middle of a conversation and then all of a sudden there was a long pause, longer than what you believe is normal, and now you feel incredibly uncomfortable? Just like a lot of our behaviors, it's all connected to our primal desire to fit in and be one with the group. Psychologist Namkeji Kudenberg states that when a conversation doesn't have the natural rhythm, we begin to feel as if something is wrong. This is because when a conversation is naturally flowing back and forth, it gives us the feeling of being socially validated. However, this could be just apparent in our American culture, as in the Japanese culture, long pauses tend to be a sign of good manners or respect. This is also observed in Australian Aboriginals, the Finnish, and other Asian countries, where it's common for long pauses in sentences, and they don't necessarily mean that the conversation has come to an end. Number 3. Blushing. This cheek reddening reaction that makes you look like a giant tomato actually happens to be a human response to social attention that's universal. Yes, everyone blushes, but it's more visible on certain individuals, such as those who have fairer complexions. Blushing is more commonly triggered by the feeling of embarrassment. However, it can also be associated with getting a compliment or meeting someone important. And how does this process occur? Basically, the veins in your face expand, which allows more blood to flow into your cheeks. Scientists aren't really sure why this happens or what the purpose of blushing really is. Number 2. Cheating. There are several reasons for a person to be uncommitted, but apart from the psychological side, it is quite possible that a person can actually have cheating embedded into their DNA. Scientists have found a gene that they named RS3-334, which is rapidly becoming known as the divorce gene. In various experiments where women and men were told to fill out anonymous and detailed questions about their marriages, it was found that the couples where the male had one or more of the RS3-334 gene were noted as being both unhappy and often in domestic troubles. It's believed that the gene affects the person's ability to release a certain chemical that is in charge of monogamy and human bonding. Number 1. Fascination with psychopaths. Have you or anyone you know at one point in time been completely transfixed on the whole concept of psychopaths? Well, you might not be alone. Researchers have speculated 3 reasons as to why someone could be obsessed with psychopaths. The first theory is that watching or hearing about these types of people allows us to indirectly step into the shoes of a person who solely cares for no one else but themselves and frees us from having to care about others without actually causing any real harm. Another theory by psychologist J. Reid Malloy is that we consider these people as vicious predators, and hearing about them allows us to connect with our primitive instincts as the hunter and prey. This, in turn, lets us relate to our primal selves without being in any real danger. And lastly, Harvard professor Ron Schouten states, being frightened by the tales of psychopaths causes a rush of dopamine that creates a feeling of pleasure that keeps us coming back for more.